Hi everybody, welcome to this short introduction on our Human Geography minor. My name is Fenne Pinkster and I'm Academic Advisor of the Human Geography program. In this presentation I will tell you a bit more about how geographers look at the social world and what type of questions they are interested in. At the end of this presentation I will provide some practical information about the program. When I tell people I'm a geographer, I get two kinds of responses. One group of people starts telling me their holiday stories, telling me about their travels to Nicaragua or Vietnam, and all the sites they visited, the food they ate, and the local customs they engaged in. They assume I'm interested in places far away, which is in fact what the earliest geographers were about. They explored the world and wrote about it. So the first prerequisite for studying human geography at the UvA is exactly that you are curious about the world around you and that you want to understand why places are the way they are. An entirely different kind of response is that people question what the relevance is of geography in a time when the world is, in a way, known. The world is no longer an empty map. We can click on Google Maps and find Accra and Mumbai and far more remote places than that. Images of such places come to us through news and social media, and we can get directions to good coffee anywhere by searching Google Maps. Such geographical knowledge production, involving the collection of data on people, businesses, resources and institutions, is now $1 billion business and is used for economic as well as political and military purposes. But knowing where things are is in itself not science, because everything takes place somewhere. So that leaves the question, what does geography as a scientific discipline add to these everyday uses of geographical knowledge? The answer lies exactly in acknowledging that yes, everything does take place somewhere, but the spatial distribution of all sorts of social phenomena is not random or inconsequential. Geographers go beyond the descriptive and explore patterns in the organization of space, explaining where similarities and differences and relationships between places and spaces come from and why they matter. To start developing your geographical imagination, let me give you an example of how geographers look at the social world and the type of questions they ask about contemporary social and environmental challenges, in particularly the current corona crisis. As I'm preparing this presentation to you from home, and you are listening to it from elsewhere at another time, the current COVID-19 crisis is making us extremely conscious of the continued importance of proximity and distance, while at the same time stressing their relativity. The diffusion of COVID has heightened our awareness of often intangible global relations. As an example, consider how COVID has spread, starting in Wuhan but then traveling to other places. This diffusion is not random. It is no coincidence that Milan is one of the hard-hit places in view of the important economic relations with Wuhan and the travel between these cities. In addition to such global relations, local conditions are hypothesized to influence the large number of serious infections in Milan, because COVID is found to impact particularly those regions and cities with high levels of air pollution. Place indeed matters. Also within cities, place matters. While social distancing is quite possible in many of European cities, this is not the case in the extremely dense informal settlements of the global south. As COVID was brought to countries like Brazil by traveling business elites and affluent residents returning from abroad, it is now spreading to highly dense favelas, where social distancing is an impossibility, with many deaths being predicted as a result. In the meantime, here at home in Amsterdam, our city is largely empty, and our everyday lives is rescaled to our homes and the sidewalk in our neighborhood. We are discovering the local which we long took for granted, and we are changing the way in which we evaluate urban space. Already this is triggering new ideas about how to design sidewalks, bike lanes, and urban public space more generally. Thinking across these different scales, from the global to the local, and across places, from Wuhan to Milan to Sao Paulo, and back to Amsterdam, is what geographers like to do. This example gives you an indication of the range of places and spatial relations that geographers are interested in. The question that preoccupies us is where spatial differences come from and how differences between places and spaces matter. Generally speaking, this means that, on the one hand, geographers study how and why a wide range of human activities are situated in space, whether they are economic, political, social, cultural, or ecological. Why are some cities economically thriving while others are struggling? Why do political conflicts occur more in some regions of the world than others? And how and why are places differentially affected by global production networks and cultural globalization? Yet geographers also study how the organization of space is meaningful in and of itself. Spatial differences do not just exist, they have consequences and shape social outcomes. For example, where you live structures your daily routines, shapes who you are, your identity, and determines the opportunities that you have in life to gain an education, to work, to stay safe, and to stay healthy. Geography is ultimately about understanding this reciprocal relationship between society, nature, and space. This broad interdisciplinary perspective on spaces and places allows geographers as social scientists to contribute to some of the most fundamental social and environmental challenges of our time, ranging from global inequality and sustainable development to international migration and the hardening of borders, geopolitics and political conflict, the differential impact of climate change and technological innovation, and the challenges of addressing shrinking cities and regions or creating inclusive and livable cities. In this respect, and to return to what I said in the introduction, geography is indeed everywhere. So if you find this way of looking at the world interesting and you choose our minor program, you will start out with a 12 EC compulsory course on geographies of inequality. This course focuses on the processes of spatial differentiation in an increasingly globalized world. After following this course, you will further specialize in different disciplines of geography, choosing 2 electives or combining an elective with an independent literature study, depending on which themes match your particular interest or which complement your major. More in-depth information about these courses can best be found in the UvA study guide. So as a final note, let me point you to some of the more detailed information on our minor program, which you can find online or through our study advisor, Jan Stammes. Hopefully I've been able to trigger your interest in our academic discipline, and we will see you in one of our courses next year and possibly one of our master programs.